to you by Real Lemon Reconstituted Lemon Juice and Anacin for fast relief of pain of headache, neuritis, neuralgia. Now, John Daly.
And a broadside from Dulles.
Australia.
The ABC Television News Network presents American Newsstand, the mid-afternoon report with the accent on youth. Brought to you by Milton Bradley, producer of exciting age-identified family games. Now here's Roger Sharp.
Good afternoon.
Ron Cochran with the news has been brought to you by the ABC Television Network. Peter Jennings with the news, a 30-minute summary of the day's events. Brought to you Monday through Friday in color by ABC News. ABC Evening News with Bob Young, a complete report. Brought to you Monday through Friday in color by ABC News.
Good evening.
Evening News with Frank Reynolds. Tonight, John Scally sees a critical 48 hours ahead for the Vietnam peace talks. Reports on a weekend wedding for Jacqueline Kennedy. Howard Cosell calls the Olympic Committee morally wrong for suspending 2 black athletes. And a film report contrasts the campaign styles of Hubert Humphrey and Richard Nixon. Now, here is Frank Reynolds.
Good evening.
News with Frank Reynolds. Tonight, reports from Jules Bergman on the Apollo 7, Marlene Sanders on the growing school crisis, John Coleman on servicemen and peace demonstrations, and tonight's guest commentary by Malcolm Muggeridge on Charles de Gaulle. Now, here is Frank Reynolds.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening from ABC News headquarters in New York. I'm Howard K. Smith. Frank Reynolds is traveling with President Nixon. These are tonight's headlines. Good evening from ABC News headquarters in Washington. I'm Howard K. Smith.
I'm Frank Reynolds in New York. These are tonight's headlines.
Good evening. I'm Howard K. Smith in Miami Beach.
I'm Harry Reasoner. These are tonight's headlines.
From New York, this is ABC News. Now, Harry Reasoner.
Good evening.
Harry Reasoner. Barbara Walters. Bring you the news.
Good evening.
Barbara Walters. Harry Reasoner. Bring you the news.
Good evening.
This is the ABC Evening News. Tonight with Barbara Walters, Peter Jennings, and Howard K. Smith.
Good evening from Washington.
This is the ABC Evening News with Harry Reasoner and Barbara Walters, who is in California. Also Frank Reynolds and Howard K. Smith in Washington.
Good evening.